And welcome to the molybdenumsoftware show, where you may or may not understand what we do, and that's okay because sometimes we are finding it difficult to keep up with each other as well. So strap on and hang tight or something. Did you see
Good to be.
the determinate systems released
Yeah.
a
What is determinate?
proprietary feature, and people are up in arms?
Oh, I didn't see the feature. I saw the announcement about a thing called determinate, but not a lot of clarity about what determinate
It's
was.
they're I think they're determined to antagonize the community. But having said that,
I
I'm
doubt
like
that's their goal.
I'm sorry. It would seem as if they're because like, and I don't have any quarrels with what they're doing. I don't. But it's so easy to misconstrue,
Yeah.
misunderstand what they are doing. So one accusation I saw is that, and this is in Discord. I'm sorry if
Discord.
this is too much Nix. I don't know if all our viewers are into Nix, but or whether we have any viewers at all. But there's an announcement in Discourse announcement category from October 22nd. It says announcing determinate Nix. That's the title, and it's like a Nix distro. It's like
It's like
I
a
don't.
pre-configured Nix with an extra feature or extra features.
Yeah, yeah, some extra stuff that, and their accusation, like, I don't know how people like get so far as to say such things, and so I don't know if I should give it the airtime, but I think since it is out there, and so maybe like a healthy perspective, or at least what I perceive to be one, is good to share. And I actually haven't read all of the discussion here because I
Yeah,
just
I read the
noticed that there's
discussion
more.
when I got the notification, and there was like two
Hmm.
responses, which were just like nice. But I
Yeah,
was
so that
not. I'm not
escalated.
surprised to hear it escalate.
So the accusation is that they're turning Nix into open core.
I don't know what open core is.
Oh, open core. So open core is a so there's this um this category of companies. It's called a commercial open source software company. COSS, COS,
Hmm.
COS company. I read this book I recommend. It's called From Project to Profit. It's by I don't remember. But the author, she works at or partners at an investment firm, and they invest only in commercial open source software companies. And I find that thrilling that that's a thing.
Hmm.
So one of the strategies is open core for such a company. It means typically it means that that company is the author and is in control
Yeah,
of the software project.
like Chromium versus Chrome. Not a product they sell, but a similar distinction.
I'm actually not aware of, like, I can't off the top of my head tell you what an example for an open core company, but ChatGPT could. So if anyone wants an example, go ahead and like find out. But the idea is that there's an open source software project, and then there is some commercial offering that is that plus some more
Sure.
features that are
Yeah.
not, you cannot have the
I
source
think
for, or maybe you can have the source for, but they're under that
different
source is like
different
under a
licensing.
different license. It's not OSI approved,
Yeah.
certainly not copyleft.
Yeah. That Airtable alternative that Base row, I think, has that.
Base row.
Has
Okay.
like an open source thing, but then if you want all the features, you got to
There
pay
you go.
for it.
That sounds like open core. And Determinate Systems releasing a Nix a Nix distro that has additional proprietary features. Jeremy, why don't you explain to our listeners why that is not open core? Why that?
Why that?
Well,
Well, because they don't
why
control
does it?
Nix.
Okay, that's exactly what I had in mind as well.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's funny because I mean, Elko Bolstra is the one who made the announcement, at least the blog post that was linked to on Discourse, and he's the father of Nix.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't always a friendly relationship, it seems like, with his children, but what I don't have enough of a sense of is like, are they really taking advantage of Nix? And I get that a lot of people probably think they are, but like, aren't they also the
What does it
ones?
mean though? Taking
Sure.
advantage of Nix.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's a good definition there.
I think the
Um,
concern is with that accusation. Maybe it's not phrased properly, but I think that the concern behind it is a genuine concern, something to look.
sure.
To look. How do you say? Something to look. Something to watch out for in community open source is that there's balanced power structure or power distribution, like that not a single company hijacks the project.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like the look but don't touch open source projects are kind of like, I'm trying to get less of those in my life. Like Chromium's a good example of like,
Mm-hmm.
it's open source, but I have like zero interest in like ever trying to contribute a PR to Chromium. Like I've
Mm.
seen,
Is it
I've
justified?
watched people try. Is my
Mm.
attitude justified?
Is it difficult to get a contribution into
I
Chromium?
have paid a lot of attention to this guy. I don't remember his name, Michael or something, who has put in a gargantuan amount of effort into
Oh
trying
no.
to upstream, like contribute a PR to Chromium. It's a very non-trivial change.
Uh-huh.
It's to get Chromium to use Pipewire for uh, screen sharing.
Screen capture?
Yeah, and holy cow, like the months, the number of PRs to various projects, the like
But
pinging.
what's the difficulty? What is it
It's like
like
nobody at Google cares
what?
is the short version. It's like the maintainers are like, I don't know anything about this thing. I'm the maintainer, but I can't give you a shipment on this. And it's just like herding cats to get like the somebody with authority to review this thing and put their face on the like shipping of this code. And as the
Hmm.
last time I looked,
What do I
it's
have on
like
my forehead?
the bug.
Yeah, living in Thailand.
So I watched I like read through this whole saga because I'm like interested in this feature,
Mm-hmm.
but man,
Is that why we have to click 5 times to share screen?
well, once it gets to be pipewire-ified, we will
Mm-hmm.
be able to hook into it with whatever, I can't remember what it's called, but like display session manager, I think is maybe the terminology. The that
Okay.
UI with all those clicks is a UI in Chrome, but the Pipewire universe allows that UI to be,
Uh-huh. So
some
the
system specific
distance
daemon.
between that extreme of how the heck do I get my contribution into Chromium and the situation in Nix where I think like open an issue on Nix and yeah, you might, that depends on who it's open source. Like no one's
Yeah,
going to do your work for you if it's not important to them as well.
yeah,
That's a community project. Like I'm sorry, that's how it is.
sure.
But if you submit a PR to Nix, I think
It's
how many
I think
open PRs or in Nix that are not responded to, not
Yeah, I've landed a PR to Nix like very early on in my career. It was a
uh-huh.
simple, silly little thing, but it was like
Let's
that was a
hear
large part of my early like, oh my god, I like Nix. It's just like I feel like I can be in charge of a, you know, contribute meaningfully to everything in the ecosystem. Uh,
so
I've
Nix
never
has
gotten a look but don't touch vibe.
380 PRs. I kind of want to see the open PR, like how many PRs here that don't have a comment on them at least, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Here's one, but it's by Elko Dolstra and it's a
And it's a
draft.
draft.
So
You know.
I'm not, frankly, I'm not, I don't know, I'm not seeing on this page, and I really don't think PRs go on. Like, even if we see the one, is this not an automated? This is a. I want to see that it's not a bot, right? It's even difficult to find ones that have only one comment, right?
Hmm.
So,
Well, I
and
guess
it's
that's
not. It
Chrome.
doesn't seem like a bot.
That's the
Oh,
author
but it's the
asking
author.
someone to take a look at my PR, please. So that's kind of a good example of,
Yeah,
uh-oh,
yeah.
shouting into the void. But I mean,
Well,
I think the Nix
this is
theme is
one.
overworked. And I've at least seen a lot of like, I've been listening to your podcast finally.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So I'm
thank you.
starting from the beginning, so I'm miles behind. But
Mm.
I have heard people in other places, and including I think your very first interview um, with uh,
Simon.
Silvan, yeah, saying, hey, the Knicks team could use more help. And I think they'd be interested in more help as opposed to like becoming a maintainer of Chromium. That's probably impossible unless you're a member of. There's probably no single. There's probably not even a concept of a maintainer of Chromium. It's probably like you need a quorum of like 3 Google employees who are maintainers of the relevant code subsystem to, you know, give it a ship it, and then CI will decide to merge it or something.
So we have an accuser here, Kafka FK, writing. I think it's problematic that Nix CPP is now essentially open core. I wish you had found more palatable ways to make money. And Kafka FK is a candidate for the steering committee.
Interesting. Well, I don't have a vote in this election,
You
so
don't? I'm
I don't have to hang around.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm I'm there's a burden that I don't have because I don't have to think about voting in this election.
I don't want Kafka FK to be in the steering committee. That would
Okay.
be I would I would be concerned if a person with that who can misunderstand the actions of determinate systems to this extent can be in the steering committee. This to me is delusion. That's the definition of misunderstanding something to like a degree where even if you are explained, right, where you're explained, hey, that's not the case, and it's like the willingness to believe in something in spite of, I don't know, evidence that seem obvious to others. It's a different.
Yeah.
It's difficult
I guess
to.
what I would look for in that thread, which I've not, again, I hadn't blown up yet. I'd be curious what the current CPP Nick maintainers have to think about this.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you, I don't want to get into
Yeah.
this more
Turn into
now, but just wanted to kind of say this here if it helps anyone to hear me saying this perspective, if I can leverage this platform, which might not have the capacity that I think it maybe in the future it will have some more viewers. So let's Let's get back into as the thing it was on my forehead. It looks like a tiny moth.
So in the time since you and I coded together last, I
Hmm.
have you know how you were talking about the pain that is configuring NeoVim. Um, Found a
Uh-huh.
bug because I've been just out of curiosity, not because I dislike it. I've been exploring moving off of Trouble, which you turned me on to a year ago or
Mm-hmm.
more, and it's great, and I have no complaint with it. But as part of like all the work I was doing on NixVim and adopting it, I learned about like I finally read up on NeoVim's quick fix lists, and I use them in some situations, like when I'm doing find replaces across a code base or something like that. So I like learned about quick fix lists, and then I saw that like the NeoVim core LSP diagnostic stuff has support for like exporting all the diagnostics as a quick fix list. And I was like, oh, that that's kind of exactly what Trouble is. Um, Presents a list of all the diagnostics, and I can navigate through them. And, you know, so I was like, I wonder how hard it would be. Like, how many lines of code would it be to take advantage of this? And it really should just be like every time diagnostics change, update the quick fix list. It should be like a register callback, update the list. Um, and then this turned
Yeah,
into like,
but what was the missing feature, that it doesn't auto refresh or something?
well, so one thing is there's a core NeoVim function that says export the current set of diagnostics to a quick fix. So that
Yeah.
function exists. It's a Lua
So
function.
what is your gripe with Trouble? I get it that Trouble is
I don't have any
re-implementable. So
I don't
what?
have any
But
gripe with Trouble. I just
something being re-implementable is not a reason to re-implement it.
I was mostly curious if because I read enough core NeoVim Lua diagnostic code while I was doing other crap that I was like, oh, has NeoVim actually tried to implement Trouble already? Like it kind of looks to me like they've got the core function here. Does
You
anybody
see
use this?
value in it being in core.
I and for me, I think I
Mm,
personally see value in
okay.
using my quick fix list for everything and having standardized shortcuts around navigating through my quick fix lists and opening and dismissing my quick fix lists. Like so that was my sort of like, oh, if everything's a quick fix list, I'll get better at using quick fix lists. And but oh my god, it turned into a whole thing because like the short version of this has turned into
The
me
short, yes, please.
submitting a PR to Vim, which was awesome, and then it got cherry picked over to NeoVim, and then I ran into a bug after
Congratulations.
that. I am unreasonably excited about that. I'm like, that is like such an old project. I'm like, wow, never thought I'd land a PR on such an ancient thing that I've used for so many years. So thank
Uh-huh.
you. Uh, and then
Nice.
I found a bug in NeoVim that took me like multiple many hours to like put together a minimal repro, and my minimal repro was comically like, okay, you gotta like install this plugin and configure them in this way and open this file in this way and have these things on your path, and then like
Oh
you can get
no,
NeoVim to crash in this particular way. And I was like,
Jeremy.
I'm like, I have now spent like 3 hours to try to make it a simpler repro, and I just don't understand enough about what's going on. So fuck it, I'm just gonna file an issue. They're probably not gonna say anything, but at least like in my workaround that I don't fully understand for the issue I don't fully understand, I can at least link to the issue upstream, and that will like let me mentally let go of this thing. You know?
Someone will understand, you know?
Well, I was overly pessimistic because I've got a very much like if I don't do it attitude towards open source, it's not going to happen. And that's like
That's a that's a
that's the
that's a
wrong
great.
attitude.
It's good for open source.
Sure. But I did this, and then somebody Zirti, he's like the number one committer to Neovim. Like a day later, was just like, oh yeah, we're Neovim's exited. It's like freeing its mem lines, which is some internal detail about how
Yeah.
buffers are stored. It frees its mem lines before it invokes all the callbacks. So if callbacks try to like write the mem line, because that was the issue I was having was when I was exiting Vim, it would
Mm-hmm.
crash trying to update the quick fix list. And I'm like,
Wait. As you were exiting Vim, it would crash.
it would it would try to update the quick fix list because like the LSP servers would
I
be shutting down. They'd
I
update the
think I had
diagnostics
that.
to be
What are the
empty.
chances that I had that?
Maybe Trouble has a similar issue. I don't know. Possible.
Okay.
It was like it was so hard though because I had to use two LSP servers, one of which like shuts down synchronously and
No.
immediately, one of which shuts down asynchronously. Is It was very hard to repro.
You are a beast, Jeremy.
I I didn't feel like a beast. I just was like trying to take my Vim config and like boil it down to
You're
the
like
minimal thing. And
you're like Frodo on the journey to
yeah,
Mordor.
that's what it felt like. Overwhelmed. And I was like Frodo without my Sam. So, but anyways, he he freaking fixed it. So anyways, my that has been my continued adventures in NeoVim.
Okay. All right. Last session was with Rob. Shout out to Rob. It was good. We made some progress. I think. I think it can also be better. But why don't you take the helm?
Okay. Share green. There's share right here. All right. Mob poem. Is that right?
Yes. I will pause your upload. Where do I do that?
Oh, thank you. And then I guess I'm.
Here.
Shall I turn off my
Done.
camera?
No, no, keep your camera. Let's see.
Okay. We'll see how
See
it
what
goes.
it looks like.
All right. Cargo build.
Cargo bill.
And then I'm gonna open up NeoVim here.
Yeah, there's only a few warnings
Oh wow,
at this
you guys have made
point.
some progress.
Yeah.
Last file you have.
So
lib.r.
okay, I think we should probably focus on making everything, all the tests pass,
Okay.
and then we can go back and see how well we did and whether we should do something better. Instead of going over what was done like last session. It's kind of
Sure.
pointless, I think. So what's happening now if you do cargo test?
Cargo test. Whoops.
Yeah.
See, I'm such a Rust expert. I was trying to do cargo check. Okay.
What'll happen is this health check not okay fails.
Okay.
Good thing we have this test
200,
because
503. Nice.
because health check okay is like a false positive, right?
Yeah, it's passing for the wrong reason.
It's like a false. It's like a false negative. False. I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's what's happening. The way that the health check. Sorry, my timer window is not here. Get that. You open. Okay. What the way that it's a health check okay is that the health check is implemented, endpoint is implemented, is basically nothing. The endpoint that literally does nothing. Check it out.
Okay. That rings a bell.
Absolutely nothing.
Home, get, health
There,
check.
there
There it
you
is.
go. Go to
Yeah.
definition, and it's literally nothing. In Rocket, that's okay. In Rocket, that suffices
Mm-hmm.
because in Rocket there's some middleware, or I don't know what it's called there, that it takes care of the database connection, and that occurs before the calling of the handler. And here, there's no such thing. What we
Mm-hmm.
did is in line. Can we have line numbers, please?
Yeah.
Line 38, we just have a middleware that is simply adding data. It's like injecting, oh, there's a value that all handlers will have. That's all. It's
Hmm.
much less, much simpler than, it's trivial. It's
Yeah,
far, far away from what Rocket is doing for us. So we have to either, what do you think we have to do?
that sounds great, and I much prefer that. I hadn't remembered that it worked the way you described. So I mean this would be a breaking change, but uh, a cooler version of the health check might be one that like returns true or false for various components, and one component would be the database. Since we wouldn't want to make a you know user perceivable change, what I think we could do is just try to connect to the database in here and assert that we did, and it'll I don't know what our previous behavior was. I guess let me take a look at the test. Uh, service unavailable is a yeah. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if we crash within if we panic, won't we? Will we get a 503?
I don't believe that would be a design in a Rust program. In
You
Rocket,
think if
I
we
think
panic,
Rocket
the server
does
will shut down?
catching catching panics is not typically a thing in Rust
Okay.
programs.
Can we
But
start there? We'll learn a thing about poems.
if you want to learn, go ahead, try it.
Sure. Uh, so how would I? What's the simplest way to panic? Panic.
Panic macro. Yeah,
Ooh.
correct.
Okay.
Run
Cargo
only
test.
that test. Cargo test,
How would I
health
do
check,
that?
not okay.
Health check. Health check. Not okay.
It's a pattern, like a glob pattern, perhaps.
Great. Okay.
A thread panicking is a different failure of the test. And it seems like Poem is being more typical Rust in that it
Awesome.
does not do what Rocket does, which is catch panics and translate them into.
Okay. So we are.
Mm-hmm.
What line of code are we at in the test? It should be here, right? This
60.
git line
It says
25.
says 60. Let's say, what is 60? That's the test.
That's a different job. Oh, no.
You're
Yeah,
looking at
that's
the
a different
test,
job.
and 60 is in the implementation. It's the location, the call site of the macro.
Yeah. Um, okay, so it doesn't show us where we were in the test. I might need to.
Backtrace one would probably show you that, but or not. It's async. I don't know.
No promises. A lot of Tokyo in the stack trace. That's expected.
Yeah,
We'll search for test.rs. Okay. Test.rs line
there you go. Line
21.
49 is a closure.
I see 21, 22,
40.
and 30.
Oh, those are, sorry, numbers. Sorry. 22. 22 is a uh no. Yeah, 22 and then closure that doesn't. 21. What is 22?
22 is this
Is the
test
beginning of the
context with
closure, where the closure is. 21 is the test function.
21 is the test function, yes. And
22
then this
is the
closure is
closure.
the test context thing.
Don't confuse the with call. It's the closure that is given to the with
Yeah,
call.
this thing
Mm-hmm.
right here. Yeah. And then I guess the unfortunate thing is it doesn't show us the line of code in the closure.
Does it not?
I see the test RS line 30. That's where we're awaiting on the future or whatever you call it in Rust. It is unfortunate that we don't see, like, it's presumably this await is where we were, right?
Yeah. And you sure that you've searched for it in all possible ways? Like
Not sure.
test RS, right?
Yep.
Test RS
Yep. Just surprised and confused about
20,
the stack
25.
trace
Look,
order.
25. That what
Wonderful.
you just
73.
yeah.
Yep. There's the await. Okay. Beautiful. So exactly what we would expect, like you promised. We are not getting an HTTP response back here. We are crashing.
It's just a
Okay.
typical hey, this panicked during the
Yeah.
test. Not
Makes sense.
supposed to panic. Let's rotate.
I have rotate.
Except for the unsharing of the
Stopping share.
screen.
Thank you.
Taking the
So I mean, I guess what do we do? Do we want to raise a HTTP 503 to preserve the previous behavior, or
yeah.
do we want to talk about changing?
Why would we change the behavior?
I mean, I think we could raise a like I don't even know what a better status code would be. So sure, yeah,
Why
let's
even
raise a.
think about? Why even consider changing it? We're just changing a implementation, right?
Let's do it. I think raising a 503 is probably very appropriate, and the thing we could do, which is not important, is we could return a response that like I don't know was a JSON blob of the various subcomponents and their statuses, but we do not need to do that.
Would you mind taking a look at some NixVim thing that I
Absolutely.
had?
I have poured so much time into this that I would love to, if I can save you any time,
Okay,
please take advantage of
I
me.
appreciate it. I think I don't even know what I'm looking at. That's definitely not it. Oh, here. So, yeah,
Are you
what I'm
using your Nixfim right now, or are you still working on it?
yes,
Oh, cool.
yes, I'm using it like somewhat painfully. I
All
could
right.
I I could revert in a jiffy, but
Good.
I might see. It's a short session now, so
Yep.
so what I'm trying to do is NeoVim telescope glyph. There's this telescope extension. It's called glyph.
Hmm.
The plugin documentation. This documentation for this option enabled extensions. Plugin
Okay.
telescope enabled extensions says this is a string, the name of the extension.
Okay.
And then you have to make sure that the package, the plugin that provides the extension is in this option.
Extra packages.
Yeah, NixVim expression. And I packaged it. It's trivial to package a
Lovely.
Vim plugin.
Yep.
But I get like unable to load. Lua says unable to load.
Mm.
Unable to load like this thing. Or not this thing. I'm not sure. Do you want to see it?
Sure.
I have to then let me execute this ZH thing. And then an HOS switch, which, if you ask me, takes way too long.
Oh, so one thing I did as part of all this, I'm not sure. Are you using Nixim
Home
via Home
Manager.
Manager? Okay. Yeah. So I didn't. I saw that and I ignored that. So I have a package that's part of my Flick called Jeremy's NeoVim,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and it's so nice to just be able to build and run that thing independently and not wait for a NixOS config change.
It sounds like it would. Because this is taking a long time. And
Yeah.
so here's NeoVim.
Module glyph extension does not exist. Module blah telescope dot. Okay, interesting. Is that like you're? Is it possible that is this saying glyph? No. Okay. That's probably there's some like name massaging that occurs under the hood in the NixVim module that says, "Oh, you gave me
There
glyph."
must be.
And does this show us the? Can we just confirm that? Is that or no? That won't help. Maybe that would help.
One thing I did is look at Nick's tree of the current system and then searched for glyph just to see what's inside. And then I took
And there it
this
is.
Nick store
Nice.
and then do something like, well, open this up,
Okay.
and this is what inside. Does this look normal to you?
This looks like a NeoVim plugin. Yeah, it's got a Lua directory and then a telescope. Yeah, telescope and telescope dash glyph. So maybe that's the issue. Is it looking for an underscore or something? But it's actually got a dash.
Here is the what am I doing here? How do I thought, oh sorry, just okay. This is the error.
Telescope underscore extension dot glyph.
Telescope
No,
dot
telescope dot. Wait, is that
X.
dot underscore?
Seems like it.
Huh.
But that
And
it kind of makes sense because I think
oh, and I'm just looking at the backtrace there. Like, is telescope written in
sorry, what?
not Lua? Well, there's telescope dot SOs. That's a
Glyph.so.
yeah. There's glyph.so and
Oh,
then
those
below
are
that.
alternatives. Those look like alternative. No file, no
Oh,
file,
these are
no
the
file, no
places
file.
it's looking. Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so that's useful. It's telling us all the places it's looking. None of which include.
Share. The lib. It's not looking in like Lua. It always wants to see share.
Oh
Share.
no, not like that. That. Oh
Oh,
well, those are the SO files.
those are different. Those are all of, seems like all of the um
It's probably all the things on your runtime path. I think is what it's called in Vim.
short. Yeah, okay. And is glyph here at all?
So it sure smells to me like we looked at
It's
the
not.
store path. It doesn't have this
It's
telescope
not here.
underscore extensions directory.
But glyph is not here. That's what I'm surprised
And I
about.
what I suspect is going on. This is
Hmm.
a wild ass guess on my part. Is that the error we're seeing here is a subset of things in your runtime path. It's the things in your runtime path that have a telescope directory with an underscore extensions directory inside of it.
Not this one.
Yeah, and maybe because these are like opaque native blobs where they can have anything in them.
Um, sorry, I don't. It. I'm not like I'm not buying it. I think these are all of the.
Well, we could look at your NeoVim and see all the runtime paths. That'll be like the first thing in your NeoVim like shell script wrapper, and we could see if it
Okay.
includes like if you do like I don't know vi which and Vim or something or that maybe. Yeah.
There it is.
Well, that's your path, not
It's
your
a path.
runtime path for NeoVim. Is there
Mm-hmm.
more maybe?
No telescope.
At the very bottom, does it exec
It execs something.
pack
It
path? Okay,
execs.
that's the relevant thing. Pack path. Uh,
Where
it's
do
like
you see that?
on this a run. It might be runtime path. The very last one. Set RTP equals.
Uh huh.
So I think if you ls that, you'll see all your plugins.
thing.
Or I don't know, find or tree or something. Maybe in the pack directory. Mm, okay. There we go.
It's funny. My Neovin packages start. Oh
Okay. And then there they all are, including, is it the one you added?
no, no glyph here, buddy.
Oh. Oh, do you need to enable it? That might
Enable
be
what?
the I wonder if would is it
There
the
is no
case that
more option. It's in here's next thing. Here's this telescope. Okay, so telescope enabled extension. A list of enabled extensions. You should only use this option directly if the telescope extension you wish to enable is not natively supported by Nixon, which means most extensions are available as plugins telescope extension name enable, although some plugins that do more than just provide telescope extensions may use plugins name
Mhm.
enable telescope instead. If you add an extension to this list manually, it is your responsibility to ensure the relevant plugin is also added to extra packages, and that's
Yeah,
what I did. It's packages.
right.
I don't think there's another. Sorry for the
No, I
impatient.
think you're
There's
right.
another. Like
So
not. It's
I
not
think
telescope extra packages, is it?
yeah. So I've gone from having one surprise to two. One is
Mm,
at a cursory look, it feels like this thing's not ending up on your Vim runtime path, which is surprising to me.
right. And here's the option all the way at the top. There's extra Lua packages. There's extra packages. Maybe that's why.
Huh. Maybe. Do I use either of these?
It's a
I must.
function that evaluates to a list. Packages to be made available to me. I bet this is it. I mean, why does this exist?
Yeah,
I'm making a change.
go for it.
Lua packages.
And then, okay.
What?
Oh, these are. Okay. Yeah. So I've never used extra packages or extra Lua packages. I think extra Lua packages is for if you're just trying to use some like Lua library, not a NeoVim specific Lua plugin, but just some like
Okay.
Lua code that existed in the Lua ecosystem.
Okay. Fine.
I wonder if that's a typo and they actually meant to say extra plugin because
But there is
that's what
no extra
I have
plugin, is there?
used. And hey, can you
No extra.
search for extra plugin? I'm definitely using it.
Where is this? I just went through the page. Sorry, what? Went through the page here. Oh, it's here.
I guess it's a whole collection of.
No way!
Maybe it's just a silly typo, and they
No!
told you to use extra packages when you're supposed to use extra plugins.
No!
Because that would fit with it not showing up in the runtime path, I think.
Well, yeah.
Because like I think extra packages probably is like the Lua interpreter that gets built has some way of discovering things you can import.
Okay. I saved it.
You might get your first PR to Nixvim out of this, fixing
You
that
bet.
typo.
You bet. I actually found another one, I think.
Bummer.
What was it? Let's try to find it before it's lost forever. It was also a typo with I think LSP key maps. LSP,
Oh, you did
plugins.
message me about key maps. I remember that.
LSP, LSP, LSP. Now tell me if this makes sense. See this? Oh no, it's not here. Hold on. It's not. It's not here. Extra. Yes. You see this? I don't think this is
I
correct.
do. Require telescope built-in LSP definitions. That looks plausible.
This is supposed to be a function. The value here is supposed to be a function. It's not a function. This is whatever that returns, whatever that expression, the function call here returns.
Right. So you think the
So
parentheses should go away?
yeah, either the parentheses should go away or this should be wrapped with a function.
Yeah. That sounds plausible.
Because I did something like similar looking at this and I actually got an error. I saw the Lua code that goes over this list and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, registers them, and I got an error. Oh, this is not a function. It's null or
Sure.
nil or whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that seems like a very plausible bug.
So let's see. Nvim. Boom! It works.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. I
Yes.
was expecting
So
it to fail in a different way.
let's try it. Latenix. So what is it? It's telescope.
Ooh, what is this type operator's experimental feature?
Wait. Wait. Oh, I didn't see that.
I guess
Uh,
I need to listen to the rest of your podcast to learn about the experimental features.
it's not in there. This
Bummer.
is the glyph thingy.
Okay,
Telescope
so it works.
glyph. What do I have? It's like supposed to be everything in the whole wide world.
Mm.
What can I cling on here?
Oh, this is like I want to insert some Unicode character or something.
I thought that was what it is, but now I'm saying that it looks like dev icons, kind of. What is it called?
Yeah, nerd icon something.
Apple. But so hold on. Is there like Hebrew here? That's not Hebrew.
Uh, what happens when you select one of these? Is it going to insert it? Uh,
No. I think there's a. Anyway, this is not even what I was looking for.
bummer.
I was looking for a Unicode search.
Mhm.
Okay, so in any case, I'll make a note to myself to make some PRs against
Thank you for
Nix
making the world
Vim.
better, Shahar.
Welcome, Nix Vim. Where's the docs here? This page. Nix Vim key maps, LSP key maps, extra PR. Here's the URL. And the other one
That was
was
the telescope docs or something?
the telescope. This one, and
Yeah,
then it says extra
extra
packages when it should be extra
plugins,
plugins.
people.
Here, there. Okay, it's in my to-do,
Sweet.
which does not necessarily guarantee how early it will, how soon it will be
Sure.
executed on, but and we can rotate it.
All right. Fun stuff.
No changes.
All right. Uh, so mob 7. Here we go. Cargo test. All right, so we are going to get this thing to raise an error. So how do we try to connect to the database?
You can see the example in the endpoint that actually does something.
Where is the endpoint? Home. Nope. Landed error. Yeah. Okay, that sounds plausible. Database.
That's not.
No, this is just coercing. Okay. Let me look at where all these things are registered. Here we go. Home get landed. Right here. Okay. On equals.
That is
Let's
it.
try to.
That should fail.
And this is now becoming an async function. Okay,
And this
and
will
this
now
unwrap.
panic just the same.
Yeah, so we're like potentially crashing our server, which we would not want to do.
We need line 44.
That is a parameter to this function.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, con. So now if I run this thing, I'll get rid of the
It'll
panic.
panic. Fatal, terminating. It'll probably time out.
Okay, waiting for a certain HTTP response.
No,
No, we're not writing a NixOS test. This
it's
is
the attempt to connect to the database that will time out.
yeah, got it.
What
Okay,
happens is that the database server is killed.
yeah. How did we write this test? We wrote kill DB. Okay, makes sense. And then pool timed out. Lovely. Oh, great, nice test. So instead of
Well,
unwrapping, we're gonna do like a
exactly.
oh gosh,
Yeah.
a pattern match. So a let what is this return? Can I do this with a let, like one of those one-liner let expressions, or do I need to do a full pattern match? If let something, if let error, okay, I know enough about it. Okay, if let error something equals. This is the cool way of doing this, right? This is how the kids do it.
Um. Yeah. I mean, I think the construct to use depends on whether we need to look at the error value.
Oh, you're saying we could like just define some error type and then implement a conversion from this error type to that error type.
There will be no error type. Wait, what am I saying? Oh. Health check, okay. Well, let's decide what the return type of this function is, because currently
Yeah,
it's unit.
I was expecting it to change to return a poem result of, I don't know, unit and health check error.
I think it'll be a poem result of unit, and that's it. And the error would be like the default poem error. That's
Okay,
why there is a poem result, because it defines a default. It's just an
so you can like
alias.
override it. Is that what we're doing here?
Yes, it's not a real type. It's a type alias that provides a default for the error parameter.
And then we can just like return a poem error. Oh, I have to return unit
I
now.
I don't know what poem error is. Like, I don't know what poem. I don't even think that this. I don't even think that this function should return a result.
Oh.
This function, because so okay, so I'll start by describing what I think is like results are an extra feature in Poem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can always say, okay, I have a handler here that returns a response. It always returns a response. It is in itself infallible. It's guaranteed to return a response.
Mm-hmm.
503 is just another status code for an
Okay.
HTTP
Yeah,
response.
that makes sense.
Okay, so and that's true for all of your handlers. So why do you need handler to even like Poem to even support handlers returning a result type?
It seems to me like the reason you'd want that is so Poem can generate better OpenAPI data. So it actually understands the types of errors that your
I did not
handlers
think of
can
that.
return.
I don't know enough about OpenAPI to like consider it. Good thinking. What I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
is in your flow, in the code flow, in the logic paths, results allow us to use the try expression.
The question mark.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is nice.
Yeah, so we wouldn't even have to write an if statement. We would just like put a question mark at the end of this instead of an unwrap, and our code looks linear and straightforward now.
Except for in this case of the health check. Maybe if the health check is more longer and it checks for more than one thing, maybe then it would make sense to use a result, and then you could check serially things like here's one thing, another thing, and then the try expression, makes, like you said, makes it look more flat.
Yeah.
That's nested, and that's nice. But in this case, it's like it's symmetric, right? There's like two return statuses, and in both cases, just a status code, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
I think we'll have to see what it actually looks like.
Yep.
So this
Yeah, I
is
mean, I
in
could see our health check evolving to like in the future, giving us an error if the database was last updated 2 days ago or something, like
Is
something that
this
we want to be notified about.
This is not. I didn't start.
I believe I rotated. Try starting again?
I didn't start here.
Or did I? No, I think I successfully saved.
It's good. Thanks.
All right.
So I'm changing this to like what is a poem? I don't even know anymore. Like, what's unit mean? How do you like the unit doesn't make sense? Like
Unit
when you
to me
return
feels
unit, it
like
means 200.
200 with no body. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, like just 200 and nothing else. No other like extra headers. No body. Nothing. So
I
that's
mean, there
not
might
what
be
we
like
want. We want
middleware
like
that
a
injects some headers.
poem response. I think this is. Oh, I don't have completion, by the way.
Fun.
I have completion, but enter does not pick.
Oh yeah, you got to configure how you want that to work.
So I didn't do that. Didn't do that yet.
So it makes sense to me that we could do a poem response here. It sort of smells better to me to return a result and give poem a better sense of what we're trying, what this thing could return. For the reason I mentioned about OpenAPI.
Maybe in the future. Right now, as I see it, if this is any kind of error, we return a poem. Okay, result response 200. What is 200? Okay, isn't it like what?
Well, we don't want to do an OK here. We want to do a
I'm sorry, it's the other way. Sorry.
503
What is 503? I don't remember.
service unavailable or something like that.
Service. Poem
Beautiful.
error service unavailable. Poem error service unavailable. It's a function. What does it take? Uh-oh. It's a function
I don't know.
that takes impl
Wrap
error.
any error into an error. The
Okay.
status code is blocked.
Then here it is. Like this error.
Sure.
No. Response.
So that's just turning it
It's
into
not
an
a
error, not a
response.
response.
It's an error. So maybe poem doesn't.
We have not done this yet, right? We have
No,
only
we have
returned
not.
poem result.
It's like else poem like 200. How do you do 200? Status
We should have some response
code.
generation code
There
down
you
below,
go.
right? Where we convert.
Status code. Okay.
But that also doesn't feel like a response, right?
Not a
That's just
response. Into. But we cannot do the second one before like we do the. No, we could. We can do
if we look just
into
near
here.
the bottom of the file, don't we have examples of creating responses?
We should.
Yeah, as response there. I saw it.
What?
There we go.
Function.
Response builder status. That's the magic that we used here at least.
Response builder status. Self status. That's in the case. Response builder status. That's really the. So maybe result of unit is actually easier to work with. But I want to
I think
see
if we return a result, go ahead.
Can this just return a spawn status code? That's not failing anywhere else, right?
The place where we'd expect it to fail is where we're registering the handler.
Status code service.
503.
Whoa. What's going on? Oh, caps lock. That's what's going on. First possible panic. Okay. No errors. Don't think I have an error here.
Okay.
You want to see it again?
This seems plausible. Let's give it a shot.
And then we're not using the error.
Yeah.
Which the user doesn't necessarily care about anyway. It's like it's our problem.
Yeah.
Not the user problem.
I agree. So we can't connect to the database. Ideally, we'd like log it or something so we can figure it out, but the user doesn't need it.
Okay. Cargo. Now our problem is the timeout.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a connection pool problem.
I mean, it's odd that normally, at least in Linux, you'd immediately get a TCP reset if you
It
tried to connect.
succeeded.
Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, cool. So you can return responses, or you can
Next
just
time.
return status codes, and I guess they implicitly mean responses with that status code and no body.
That was a good guess on
All
my
right.
part. I mean, that I
Yes. Yeah, that worked out. I am a little surprised, but can't argue with results, man.
not results. We return status code. Mm.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. So cargo test is now passing. Is that what you're saying?
It's passing after a while.
Cool. Well, I got to skip all the hard work. How is your?
Unless you don't have a token here.
Do I need a GitHub API token for these tests to work?
Yes, GitHub underscore token.
Got it.
I'm recording. I'd rather not edit it out.
Sure.
So
I won't print it out. I get it. I was trying to think of a smart way of checking if it's there without printing it to my screen. I didn't have an immediately brilliant idea. So. Okay. Yep.
you know the shell.
Yeah, I could do like echo get huge. Yeah, I don't have them.
It's GitHub underscore token.
I don't. So
Okay,
that's why those
so
two tests failed.
do you want to set one up? I did that last evening. What I did is here I did a source in the .env. I did like dot space at the end or source, or
Sure.
if you want that source if whatever you want.
Sure. Do we have
Dot
a
GitHub
Git?
token. The .env is not checked in here.
Okay. So I could just put a secret in here, but I guess it would be nice
Yeah,
to put it in a
I
separate
can
place.
help you go into GitHub and generate this thing. It's the fine-grained one.
Okay.
And I can tell you at which point you have to put it on the other screen as well. Settings all the way at the bottom.
Developer
Developer
setting.
settings, because not every GitHub user is a developer.
Yeah.
And
Generate
then
new
here
token.
you
Oh, look, here it
generate.
is. Label tracker. This is the one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so
So
I'll
click it,
regenerate.
and as soon as you click regenerate, it
Okay,
shows
I'm
it on
gonna need
screen.
to get off here. Do regenerate token.
You recognize
That's
this?
Lord of the Rings right there.
Right.
Export GitHub underscore what token?
Sorry, what?
What's the name of the environment variable?
GitHub underscore token.
GitHub underscore token. I think we're good. Be sure.
Echo slash dot GitHub token to the end of dot git info exclude. Not.
Okay.
Oh, you want to test? Okay.
So I have the environment variable now.
And did you ignore the file?
Not yet. I will do that now. Thank you. Git exclude.
Git
GitHub
exclude. What is git exclude?
does the thing. It adds it to my I wrote it, but it does what you do.
To your dot git info exclude?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Alrighty.
Did it work? Git status?
Yeah. There we go. Echo $? Question mark. Ah, I got a moving fish. I'm never gonna get used to that. Cargo test.
Sorry. What is echo status?
It's just fish doesn't like the $? Question mark thing. So
No, what is status?
that
What is
is
the
the exit
environment
code of the
variable?
previous command.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did the ignore work? I mean, git status.
Yeah. No, it did not.
It did not.
Okay. And now if I do a move of /temp, GitHub tokens, there we go. Thank you for checking that. All right.
What happened? What is new file? How is it?
So this is entirely my fault. I edited this. I created this file using Vim, and I have my Vim configured in a way such that if it saves a new file, a buffer in a flake, it automatically does a git add intent to add on it, which is normally what I want, but not in this situation. So that created a weird adventure where like the file was now tracked by Git, but also in the exclude file. And I don't know if you've ever had that like confusing thing where like you have a file get ignored, but it's also tracked.
Of course, I had that numerous times.
Yeah.
And when I
One of the
say I
classic.
had that, I include it might have been some other pilot in a mob programming session.
Yeah. It's such a Git quick gun. I do not believe they've got a good user experience around that particular flow. Like there should be a warning or something that realizes what's going on and tells you what you
So,
probably want to do.
how do we decrease the timeouts?
How do we do what? Sorry?
Decrease the timeouts.
Oh. So we must have had this
But
problem
it's a
before, right?
test. No, we did not have this problem. The rocket was instantaneous. I don't
Oh,
know
interesting.
why.
Okay. So my expectation,
It's a
if I try to
distributed
connect to
system,
like localhost 3306, it errors out immediately. Connection refused.
but there's
So
no guarantee that it's localhost.
sure, but if I try to like connect to google.com on 3306, oh no.
It's
Okay.
a distributed system. There is a timeout. Time is of the essence.
Hmm.
It's part of it.
I am surprised that these are hanging. This is indicative of some firewall configuration that just ignores ICMP packets or something. But in our test, which is really what we, okay, well, I guess here's the question. Are you just, I maybe didn't ask the right question. Are you trying to speed up our test, or do you want our
Good question.
server? Okay.
It's a test. And when we used Rocket, we didn't consider it because the test passed immediately. But we
So what
don't
I would,
know how Rocket behaves in the implementation.
yeah,
It seems immediate in the test, but there's a default there, and there was nothing special was made. So the timeout in the test is probably the timeout. You know what? It's not guaranteed that that's the case. Rocket might be clever.
I don't know.
Rocket might be clever enough to do a different timeout in the test than in not
Yeah,
the test.
it's possible that this was always the behavior of our system, and now it's just more obvious. So what is your goal here, to speed up the test, or is your concern that we don't want our health checks to hang in real life?
Well, I don't know what our health check currently does in real life.
it doesn't feel crazy to me. Like you said, distributed system, the MySQL server might be slow to respond, or packet packet queues are full or whatever. Like reasonable for it to like wait a little while and maybe retry if that's what's happening under the hood.
It is the default. Well, I think one question we should be answering is, what is the current behavior?
Because we just want to slavishly preserve the current behavior, or because we don't know what we want.
Yes, that's the answer. We
That
we
I would push back on that a little bit. Like
mm,
we haven't documented or defined this behavior anywhere. We are free to change it. I don't feel like we have to slavishly preserve the current behavior just because we don't have an opinion. I think we can form an opinion, and the opinion could be whatever the simplest code to write is, which
mm.
might be the code we have already.
Okay. Undefined behavior is not a change. It's from
Right.
undefined behavior to undefined behavior.
Yeah.
That's a good
That
point.
would be my argument, but feel free to disagree with me.
No, I agree.
Okay.
What's this? Is error.
I mean, like,
Try.
I should say, I like tests that are quick. So I would be, if we wanted to try to shave a few seconds off our test suite, that could be an investigation we do right now. Is like, how do we, where the goal isn't that we care about what happens in the deployed service, but we just care about having our test suite run a couple seconds faster.
Yeah. Then we'd have to implement in a way that somehow is aware of it in being tested.
Or maybe we say, oh, that was actually, we're just going to change this behavior because it feels reasonable or something. Like, I guess I suspect if we went down that path, we might form opinions as we go down that path, but we could also just not go down that path.
What's the path that we could either go down or not go down?
Figure out how to make our tests faster, like specifically this one test.
Let me just press enter on this suggestion. This is, remember when I was saying, well, the construct depends on whether we are interested in the error value or not.
I see. So there's a nice is error thing you move over. Cool.
And
The
these are
parentheses are
unnecessary.
moderately surprising to me.
No, I don't think they're necessary.
Oh, okay. I guess in general.
But I'm not getting a warning for them. But they're also not formatted away, so I'll just remove them manually.
Okay. Sounds good.
But why does? Okay, never mind. I think it's fine. This way. All right. So in the implementation, but also, Jeremy, we're doing the same thing. We're obtaining a connection in both endpoint handlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that something that what Rocket does for you? It doesn't give you a connection pool into the handler. It gives you a connection, right?
That sounds right.
So maybe we should make a middleware that is, instead of this value connection pool, it does that. It gives you a connection.
I actually kind of like how we are now able to write endpoints that don't require the database.
Endpoints that don't.
Like we don't have these, but it's now possible with this change away from Rocket to write an endpoint that just computes 5 digits of pi and returns it. And if the
I
database is
think
down,
Poem allows that.
yeah, I mean that's
Even
right.
if you
We're not.
write a middleware,
Oh, you
the
could like
signature of the, because I want to
opt
show you
into
what
the
it's.
middleware running or something.
Yeah, look.
I see.
You see, this is why there's an attribute on top of this at all. Because if you notice, health check and landed, they have different signatures.
Yeah.
This one thing. And the way this works is this: if I rust LSP expand macro on this, we actually get our original function here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the, so you see the parameter 0 is this thing.
What? Sorry, are we looking at Poem source code right now?
No,
Okay.
I went here, close this again. I went here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's the attribute.
Okay.
And I did rust LSP
Oh.
expand macro.
Okay. Sorry, I was
And I
totally burned out.
believe that this is a command from Rustation Vim.
Cool.
Okay. So expand macro means give me the
Awesome.
result, the code that this macro expands into. And in the expansion, we can see our original function, our original item.
Cool. Yeah, so these
And
are
we
like
can
compile time
see,
middlewares rather than like runtime middlewares.
oh, the middleware is created at compile time, right? Like part of its implementation
Mm-hmm.
is created at compile time dynamically from the signature. Obviously, the signature of our function is analyzed at
Yeah.
compile time.
Very cool.
And then you see this.
Yeah.
This is where
Okay.
our function is called.
Yeah. Okay. So if we asked for a database connection, we would only see the middleware, you know, create a connection if we were asking for a connection.
And I think the contract here is that it just does like, okay, that type, right? The type of the parameter, okay, as it is an implementation of poem from request, call from request on that implementation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a method on that trait
Uh-huh.
with the request and the ref body, await, try. So every such parameter needs to implement from request.
I see.
And this thing, it probably has a trivial implementation of from request. It's just the data. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
care about the request, right?
Right.
But this does.
Gotcha. Yeah. Makes sense.
And here is, I don't know what change I have. Oh, that change.
Okay. So my attitude around whether we should move it to a middleware is dependent upon some stuff I don't remember, I guess. Like, where do we do like database transaction management? Like, when do we start a transaction and when do we commit or roll back a transaction?
Down in the trenches of the implementation of landed handler.
The landed for PR. This thing,
Yeah, you see ref mute connection is passed into it.
there it is. Okay, so it has a transaction right here, and I guess there's no committing because we're not writing to the database. Okay. All right, so we get our hands on one connection, and if we wanted to, we could do multiple transactions with it, or we could do a bunch of stuff in a single transaction. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that, like, I mean, I guess this is a problematic line of code. We need to change that unwrap to bubble up an error, don't we?
I thought there should be. I doubt that this is current code. I mean, in main, I don't think main has this unwrap. I might be wrong.
With Rocket?
Either
Yeah, well, I think
main.
in main, Rocket is the one creating the connection,
Right,
like we
right, right.
said.
And so I kind of would put a to do at the end of this line because you're right. We don't want it. I mean, we have relied on our future selves reviewing the changes. So
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like we're going to go from one line of code at the start of the handler to one line of code in the parameters to the handler.
what do you mean the parameters? The middleware.
Sure. Like this line of code right here is going to become something like, I don't know, poem
No,
web, db, con, right?
if I think it's going to be our own because I don't think Poem Web has this thing.
Yeah, sorry. There's going to be some line of code here
Yeah,
that like is like
yeah, yeah.
con dot dot dot. And
Con-
so it's like,
mm-hmm.
oh, and then this line disappears. Okay, so I guess it's a net decrease of one line of code. What I was wondering was if this just turns into one line of code up here, how's it any better up here versus down here? I'd argue this is more straightforward.
Like
But
you said, it's instead of the DB pool.
yeah, okay. So I'm down. To push back just a little bit, not because I feel strongly, but just to like
Mm.
one thing that we would lose, I think, is a convenient way of getting, or maybe I should say a symmetric way of getting like two connections to the database. Like right now, if I wanted two connections, I'd just like,
You can just do another parameter.
okay, so you think the way we're going to implement this middleware is going to work that way? It's not going to like enforce that there's only one connection?
Why would it?
Okay. All
It's
right.
a
I'm
DB
excited
pool,
to see it.
right?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, then start from the end. Pretend it's implemented.
Well, boom, done. So this is going to be like DB connection, and this is going to be, I don't know, con, and this is going to be, I don't know what goes
Uh,
here.
uh, uh, yeah, kind of makes sense. So that would be
Is
the
this
same.
like pattern matching?
It is. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
got it.
Every parameter is a pattern match followed by a
I see.
colon followed by type. So that's
Got
why
it.
on the left is the same thing as on the right.
Okay. DB connection, um,
Yep. And
something like
that
that.
that would be concrete, just like you
Great.
did.
And then we'll do, this is going to
You
find a
can
better
remove the
home.
first parameter now.
This is a trait or a, what
It's a
is it?
struct
Okay, it is.
that is a tuple struct, which means
This
that
is gonna,
yes,
okay, great.
that the only field it has is that whatever that
DB pool.
s whatever. If you can bring back the or go to the health check and see DB pool acquire is blah blah blah. What does that they acquire on line 63? What does that return? The acquire. If you look at
returns a pool connection of Postgres.
That is then, yeah, there you go.
Makes sense?
That's that.
Okay.
Now this struct needs to implement the thing we saw in the expansion.
Do we do a mute there? Do we?
No, no, not mute there. I
Mute
think
here?
it's mute in the field, before the field. Yeah, before the binding. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, great. And now it's telling me I want to implement from request. So, okay.
And that error, if you think about it, that error is actually coming from the expansion.
Okay.
Right? Remember the expansion?
Yes. Yeah. What was the command? LSP.
I don't think you have it. It's Rust LSP, which comes from Rustation Vim.
Rust LSP. Okay.
Expand macro. There's completion for this.
All right.
Poem. See line 12, line 13. It's like DB connection, that's struct as it is an implementation, but line 13.
Yeah. There.
As it is an implementation of a poem from request.
Mm-hmm.
This is a specific, typically.
And this is an invalid path or whatever the verb is.
Invalid?
This is not this is a lie. It is not a from request. It cannot be.
Oh,
correct. To make it.
You're saying yes. This is the type where the type error is now.
Yeah. And then we're seeing it here because, like, errors in macros need to be visible somehow. So this is the only place. This is a reasonable place for it to show up. It's actually astonishing that it shows up here.
I wanted you to say that. Like, how the heck is it know that this is the place that?
As opposed to here, which we do see it up here, and that makes sense. So that's some black magic. That's very cool.
That is in the implementation of the macro.
Oh, so macro authors who are more knowledgeable know how to give their users better error messages.
Exactly. That is the error scope.
Yeah, so that's just like the stuff we see from Robert Hensing when he's writing like NixOS flake parts, right? Like he adds annotations to the error context to actually make these infinite recursion things debuggable. As opposed to you and I, who we didn't know that was even a feature that the core language supported, so we just have to power through it and take forever to figure those things out and not make it easier to figure out the next time. Cool. Yeah, that's super cool. Someday I will learn how to write a macro and then learn how to write a good macro, I guess.
I may offer Mickey that I've shared with you as an example of a macro implementation.
Oh, that's the pluggable backend for memoization.
Yeah, memoization macro.
Right.
Named after someone Mickey. Actually,
Mickey Mouse. That's the only Mickey I can think of. Mickey Mantle? Is that wait? Is that a basketball player? Mickey Mantle?
Well, like it should be in the README here.
Oh yeah, Mickey Mantle is a famous baseball player.
Oh no, it's not in the README at all. But if you go into the Wikipedia, then you find Donald Mickey.
Ah, cute.
Is original author of memoization.
Cool.
Computer science, history.
I would not have gotten that reference.
Okay, me neither. But we had to think of a name, right? So we dug.
Sure. Classic computer science problems there, or open source software problem.
So where is it? I don't see the error. I have not mob started it.
I have rotated.
Load. There we go. There we are. Now we need to import poem from request. Oh,
For DB connection. So you have no way to accept the suggestions? Is that what you're saying?
there's no way that I know of. Sorry.
I
I
think
just
there is a
work in
default
progress. I can
debinding.
I just I have a big commented out sequence of
Yeah,
my old implementation. I'm just going through it, and I haven't reached
yeah,
that part,
I
I
get it.
suppose.
I was in that state for a week.
So this apparently takes a lifetime. I mean, import here. There. From request, you get a request, which is a ref lifetime a poem request
Okay,
and a body.
and we're probably
We
going to
actually
ignore both
don't
of these,
know
right?
what the lifetimes are.
We don't even care about these parameters, right?
I think there may be. I think you're right, but we have to
We have to get the lifetimes right, regardless.
method not compatible with traits. It's expected. Oh, so it's actually written this way. Okay, fine. It needs to just literally match, what it says
Sure.
in the trait. And so
But
this
you
is an
didn't write that
anonymous
code.
lifetime.
It got
Correct.
auto-generated incorrectly.
No, I didn't. I just was like, oh, shouldn't this have a lifetime? But no, it shouldn't.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's an anonymous lifetime. What
All
is
right.
meant
And
here
can
is
this
that
be an async function from request? Like I see it's returning a future. So does that mean we can instead make it an async function that
no,
just returns?
no.
Oh,
That's not what
that's not what async means. It's not just like
it's.
because in
I don't.
JavaScript universe, right? Async functions are just things that return promises
Let's.
or something.
Well, in Rust there are also, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. I kind of.
Because it would be nice to operate in the async
Well,
await universe.
there we go.
Okay, so that smells a lot like how JavaScript works.
It it is, and it is because there's stuff you cannot do with impl that you can do with that you should be able to do with like whatever thing async actually returns. It's not. I think it's not entirely equivalent. That's what I'm trying to say, and I cannot, and I don't know. There's
So
more detail
this
there.
is
It's like
I'm
even
gonna
if
walk
I
away.
learned that detail, I
Yeah.
walked away already. Even if I have ever read about that detail, it's like it's so complex that I kind of get it, or maybe I do get it, but then a month later I haven't touched any of this stuff. So like, why would I
Gotcha.
remember what I learned?
Okay.
Like those
So
minute detail
I'm
that
gonna walk away from this conversation with it smells a lot like JavaScript, but there's probably some detail that maybe someday in the future I'm gonna run into. And
yeah,
it's useful to remember that my mental model is probably wrong, but
yeah,
good enough to a first order approximation.
yeah. So I'm going to obtain a. I don't even. So
And
how
this
do
should
we?
return
But
a
this
DB
doesn't make
connection.
sense because how do we get the DB URL? Oh, because in order to obtain such a struct, you need, so it needs to contain the DB URL as well. Wait,
Yeah. I mean,
moment.
can we just
I'm not sure what I'm saying is true.
can we just put that line of code in as a
But
parameter?
parameter to what? You cannot change this thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's not dynamic in the same way that our handler's dynamic.
correct. That is just in the signature of poem from request. See that poem from request? It must match
Okay,
this.
got it.
And interestingly, this is an impl feature. So just the fact that you can implement it with an async fn is kind of strange.
I mean, that
But I'm
again
not
smells a lot
complaining.
like JavaScript to me. Async functions just are functions that return
Look,
futures,
the reason I'm
promises.
surprised is not what you think. It's because I have used Rust for a while, and during that time, there have been changes to async. I used Rust since before async was even a keyword, implemented.
Oh,
Async
okay.
fn was in
So this was not always possible,
stable.
and now it is.
Yeah, when we say it, I'm not even like multiple things have. It's not like released as one thing. It was first you had the future trait, and then we had async functions, and then it's kind of
Yep,
slowly building on top.
yep, yep. It is really funny how someone who's been there appreciates all the incremental steps, and then someone who just shows up is like, oh, this is the way it works. Great. I don't care about the details. It's like, flakes and nicks, right? I don't
hmm
care about the history. I just care about the status.
So what we need here is as access to the DB URL.
Yep. So I guess we could figure that out from the macro extension, like whatever it does to get a.
The DB URL must be in the struct, because that's the only thing that you have access to in the implementation of the trait is what's in the struct. That means
We
that
also.
over here in the width, right?
Oh,
Delete
I see. I
this
see. I see. I see. Okay,
and do a mob next.
got it. Can you leave that line of code there, please? We're
Do you
gonna
want me
need that.
to? I'll fix that. I'll fix that for you.
Thank
Just
you.
hold on. I'll just undo that and mob.
I mean, I can get it from the Git history. It was just
Here,
gonna be
go ahead.
moderately easier if it was
Share
there.
screen.
All right. Okay. I think I'm with you. So here we're building an add data. Instead of that, we're just going to do when we construct this DB connection thing, we'll do DB
Not
connection.
poem middleware.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
our own struct.
DB connection
And
new takes a DB pool.
no, well, new is not quite not necessary because you get a constructor for free,
Okay.
and
I
it's
see.
not like new. It's like more like trying to call the type.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. And then this is a different type or something. Expected a blah, found a blah. Okay. We'll do that.
There's
No,
there's
that
it's
looks the same.
what a DB pool is not there.
Oh, it's this thing is of type pool. So did we just give ourselves a pool rather? Oh, that makes sense because we're going to use the pool to.
No, we're not going to use the pool. I'm sorry, I don't have this all the way figured out
Okay.
because it won't be okay. I do have it at least somewhat figured out. Look.
Yeah, there's an asymmetry here where this thing is the thing we're unpacking here. So it sure as heck needs to be the actual connection. But then we somehow need to feed the pool into this thing. Those are two different things, and they should be two different things.
Okay, so look, there are two different things. Look at the trait, please, and look at the macro expansion again, please. If you don't mind.
Sure.
So there are two different things.
Okay,
There is
that
the
makes a lot
middleware.
more sense. You want to
Yeah,
see the
there's
macro
the
expansion of what?
of
This
yeah
thing?
that. Mhm.
Uh, what is it? Rust,
Rust,
LSP,
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 expand.
macro, expand.
Mac.
Yeah.
There are two things. You see line 12, it's line 12 or line 13, doesn't matter. Like it says P1
Mm-hmm.
is that type as it is the implementation of from request.
Yeah.
Call on that implementation, call its only function, only method from request, and then P0 ends up being the return value of from request.
Yeah.
Right? So there are two types here. There is poem web path,
Mm-hmm.
and then from. So what is the signature of from request? Can you show that, please?
Not over there, unfortunately. From
Type.
request.
The signature of the function from request that is on the trait from request.
That's right here. Takes a
Mm-hmm.
request and a body.
All we get is a request and a body. We get also, we don't even have an instantiated self.
Right. I see
This is
that.
a constructor for self from request. So we don't have access to anything but the request and the body. We can have access to the type self, so we can call static methods on self.
Yeah.
But that doesn't give us any value. So that leaves us with the question, how do we construct data carrying middleware, like
Yeah.
configurable middleware?
I hear you. I don't have an answer. But what I do want to look at is the health check extension. So this is
It's the same. Why would it be different?
I just want to see this line of code and stare at it in the same way, where like this thing is somehow returning a connection, but this doesn't feel like it has any data on it. How's it getting its hands on the pool? And I guess the answer is there is this middleware add. It's whatever this new thing does, right? That's somehow stashing it in some place where it can get its hands on it later.
Oh,
This returns an add data with
sure.
an add data as a
But
struct
show us the implementation of.
from
Oh,
request.
look! It's actually impl middleware for add data, and I think there's probably
Okay.
an im what so so line 13 on the left shows us a poem from request,
Mm-hmm.
but but we don't see do you see an implementation of from request
I do not.
on the right? Like if you search from request,
Nope.
or you
I already.
on the you
I
can
can't do.
also you can use LSP and point at add data and use like point at the struct add data
Mm-hmm.
and do go to implementations, find list implementations or whatever that is.
I don't know how to do that. Sorry.
Trouble has it.
Sorry, I'm not using trouble anymore.
LSP has it. I think LSP should have it.
Let's
It's like
see.
it's not this. It's like it's only a Lua command.
vim.lsp.
Yeah, vim. But I think it's buff, lsp buff dot, and then something with implementation. Implementation. There you go. We found it.
Yeah, so the only implementations here are this middleware.
So my theory is that there is a blanket implementation of from request for T where T implements middleware. That's the theory.
And it calls this transform function.
Which I didn't look at yet.
Okay. I am not going to, I'm discarding my changes. I think they're just harmful.
I'm okay
and
with that. I didn't follow, so don't remember by now.
Yeah. All right. And we've got 2 minutes left. Happy to do another round, or we can pick this up tomorrow.
Oh, no, I'm not stopping at this point.
Okay, great.
Mob starts. Come on, do it. Do it. Okay. No? What? Oh, it's still just a mismatch type here.
Yeah. So I think instead
So
of
I'm
add
going
data
to
new, we're going to do a new of our own type.
documentation.
I mean, I think we could
Home.
cargo cult this off of the implementation we already have access to, the add data one.
So I'll try impl middleware for DB connection. Now we can determine what the output is.
Okay.
But it's a theory, right? And then the output is a different type, which needs to implement from request, perhaps? I don't know. I don't know how this works. What do you think the output should be?
Can we just look at the add data one, the new function that we're calling up above?
Sure.
Yeah. This returns an add data.
It returns a self endpoint, a self output, which is an add data endpoint of E, which is an endpoint, probably.
And T, which
is whatever that data is, okay. Right?
But that's generic, and we don't need the T to be generic. That's just going to be the DB connection or DB pool or whatever.
Transform. It transforms the endpoint.
It takes an endpoint and returns
an endpoint.
An add data endpoint.
Add data endpoint for the add data middleware. So it's wrapping.
Okay.
There's an implementation of endpoint for add data endpoint. I get it now, right? Do you get it?
Not quite. That implementation of endpoint was not making sense to me yet.
Okay. So here, I didn't read it, but basically,
mute insert
request. You get extensions to the request, and then you insert into them. In this case, just the self value clone. The value needs to be cloned. And then you call self inner with this mutated request.
Okay.
This returns a refmute extensions.
add an
Extensions.
extension, whatever that is. And then what do we do with these extensions? Why are we putting it in there?
Because that's how it reaches. That's how it reaches. Because from requests
Oh,
it
there's a
reads the
detailer from
extensions.
request that we can't see.
I guess.
Wow.
It's a poem. So here you make we comment this out and we make our own with I want to cry with
We're going to end up writing like 20 or 30 lines of code to save ourselves one line of code in two places.
yes,
Which, like, I'm not saying this isn't the right way to do it, and it's
or
educational.
find like poem db middleware, which
It does
we
feel like the
searched
thing that
before.
we're
Do
trying
you
to do
remember?
here is it feels like there could be some layer of abstraction on top of this traits and endpoints that would make what we're doing a little more ergonomic.
What is this? What is it? Get db on stuff. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
I don't know this. Postgres. I wouldn't expect to find
Sure,
anything like this,
me
but I
neither.
would not be surprised to find an existing
Yeah. So
middleware.
if we search
But I
like
would
poem
also not
SQL
be
X,
surprised. You, as like a Rust newbie, you say we're going to end up writing, but Rust is verbose, and I, as a Rust developer, just accept all that. But like, I just accept it. We're going to write 20 lines for this. I get it. That's how Rust works.
but I mean, why not just have what's wrong with the code we have right now?
That it doesn't share logic between the handlers.
The logic for
For
getting a connection out of the database pool.
yes.
Yeah, I mean it
Well,
does in the sense that they're both
forgetting it's not exactly sharing it. You're right. It doesn't share the logic of getting a database out of the connection pool. And
but
what
it's
we're
like
suggesting to do is not even sharing the connection pool with
right.
between the
Yeah.
handlers.
So it's like the database pool is a detail that has leaked into our handlers, and if we implement this correctly, we could like swap out the implementation of the database pool. We could drop database pooling entirely, whatever, and we wouldn't have to change anything else. So yeah, I can see how this is better. It's like kind of silly because we only have one, two
Yeah.
endpoints, but
One of them is a
uh,
health check as well. Right?
yeah, exactly. And the health check is funny where I think it's not even going to benefit from this, right? Because the health check's probably still going to want to get its hands on the database pool so that it can like handle the error from trying to acquire a connection from the pool.
No. The health check will remain empty as it is in main. The
Okay,
middleware will fail.
sure. Yeah. And then that makes sense to me. It kind of smells a little odd because it seems to me like it would be nice for us to tell people what went wrong in the health check in the future, like not as part of this TO, but I think it would be nice to like say, hey, you know, I couldn't connect to the database. That's the issue, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
just a 503 with no useful information.
Mm-hmm. Well, that could be implemented in the middleware.
How would the middleware like? Oh, it could return a result of DB
Yeah.
connection or something.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, and then we could say, oh, I don't have a DB connection. Great, I'll give a nice error message. Okay. Yep, I hear you. Sorry, I
Okay,
know
I'll
we're over
leave.
time, and then I just triggered a whole
What?
philosophical debate.
That? No, it's fine. We're all adults here.
Okay. Do we want to go until we have this working though?
No,
I'm, okay,
sorry.
we're gonna stop here. No, that's totally fine. Sorry, I
We're
burned a
responsible
5 minutes when
adults
we
here.
could have gotten this working, just talking. But okay, tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
Sweet.
Um, so thank you for watching the Molybdenum Software Show. We hope you have been entertained to some extent and educated to at least that extent. And please like, share, and subscribe. And hope to see you next time. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Bye bye.